Hello and welcome to Noni, your morning chat show that brings you the hot topics that we're all talking about. This morning, the hashtag #MeToo movement, and we'll be asking whether women should or shouldn't all be feminists. Joining me on today's show, stand-up comedian Mo Real. She's breaking barriers in a very male-dominated career. And Elizabeth Nwachukwu. She's the founder and CEO of Listening Lizzie, which offers counselling to victims of abuse and harassment. A survivor herself, we'll hear her inspirational story. The Me Too movement gained traction last year after some very high-profile men were accused of sexual assault and harassment. It actually started a decade earlier by activist Tarana Burke, but now over 12 million people across the globe have shared the hashtag. It might just be an easy thing to click on social media, but for many women, it's given them confidence to tell their stories for the first time. Elizabeth, clearly the Me Too movement isn't just about celebrities or celebrity accusers. It kind of affects all of us.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your story.
I will talk about my story in terms of my workplace, and I remember working with a manager, and most of the time it's either he had to say, oh, before he can actually ask me to do anything, he was like, oh, Elizabeth, why don't you do this? It's either touching me on my shoulder or touching me on my arms, and I'm like, what's going on here? It's most often in a workplace where you have unnecessary manager in terms of because they're in power, because they're in control, and you're under them, and they feel like if you don't comply with them, they wouldn't promote you, or probably they wouldn't let you go into the next stage where they know that your heart is into. So most of the time, if I'm working with him, maybe if we had to do any work together, I always look for something to cover my body, or sometimes I always wear something, even when it's art, I have to wear something that is a long sleeve or turtleneck.
So you basically had to cover yourself up.
Yes.
Anytime you knew you were going to speak to this male senior colleague to stop him from harassing you. Yeah. Mo, you're a comedian. Tell us what it's like in your day-to-day career.
Yeah, it's quite tricky to be a female in this sort of industry because it feels like it's built around men. But because it's male dominated, often you're treated just ever so slightly different.
Since the Me Too hashtag came out, everybody's been sharing it. But some people feel uncomfortable, and there have been critiques of the Me Too movement that say, you know, you're forcing women to tell stories that they're actually not comfortable about. How comfortable were you to share your story, and what gave you the strength to do that?
Initially, from the beginning, I felt like I shouldn't be telling people what I've been through, or they shouldn't know my secrets, because I felt, if they know it, will they still be my friends? Because it's just a comfort of, you need to get yourself into a comfort zone. From the beginning, I felt like if I have to say it out, what will people say? But again, if the hashtag Me Too is actually asking people to start speaking out, it will actually help you coming out of your insecurity level. If the hashtag is coming out, that people should come out, I think it's a good thing in the sense that though it is very hard, it has to be that you have to find confidence in yourself that am I ready to discuss this with people? But at the same time, it will actually help. But again, you have to find a balance before you can actually say things like that.
Mo, what about the financial implications? Because, you know, as Elizabeth said, first of all, you know, it does tend to sometimes be men who are in very powerful positions. And if it's a boss and he's got a lot of male colleagues around him, do you think women are afraid to come out because they're scared they'll lose their income?
Just like you were saying, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And embarrassing, is that the right term?
Yeah, the feeling would be you feel ashamed and embarrassed to come forward. And on top of that embarrassment, by you coming forward, you might lose something. So you've got a lot of things to hold to yourself, and that's going to cage your spirit.
When does harmless flirting become harassment? Like in your situation with that senior colleague who was constantly, touching you.
Yeah.
When did you know that actually, no, this is wrong? He's not trying to hit on me. He's abusing my personal space.
Yeah. Initially, from the beginning, I felt like, okay, maybe he's just complimenting that I'm beautiful and all of that. But initially, at the second stage of while I was still in the department, I felt like each time he tried to ask me to do something, maybe a task, then it will like, oh, Elizabeth, you look so beautiful today. I love you. Your lips looks really nice. That lipstick looks so good on you.
And you work in the medical sector. You're a nurse, isn't it? So it's an inappropriate environment to be doing that.
But they all, to them, I don't know. Some of them I feel that, okay, I'm just only complimenting you. But sometimes they take it too far in the sense that trying to rub the person's arms. You don't have to do that. Even if you have to tell someone that you look good, there are other ways that you can say that. Like, oh, I love your dress today. How was your night? You know, kind of compliment like that. Not by, because you want me to help you to do something and you have to rub my arms or compliment my look or saying, oh, this dress looks better on you than the one you wore yesterday.
Yeah, that's taking it too far, isn't it? Do you think, Mo, you know, again, you know, bringing up your industry, the comedic world, do you think it's tough for some men because they're like, oh God, you know, I really fancy so-and-so, but I dare not approach her because I might be accused of sexual harassment. Is that fair to say?
I haven't seen any of these comedic people feeling shy to go and talk to people. In fact, one of the things I know is that they know humour will break the ice.
Yeah.
So you might not need to touch somebody. If you can make them smile, like you're making communication, and that's what people want. They want to feel close to somebody. My thing is, if someone's touching you, you don't like it, nip it. Don't be afraid, because that's what it is. It's the fear of what's the repercussions of me speaking up about my own space that I don't want no one to come into. I'm touchy-feely. I'm touchy-feely with boys and girls. So I could be, if the person doesn't find me attractive, they could easily say, what's she harassing me? So there's such a thin line.
There is a thin line,
between,
isn't it?
That's why I said, if I don't find you attractive, I'm gonna, and I let you know, I don't find you attractive, I don't want you to touch me, and you're still touching me, you've taken it to another level.
Yeah.
But can women even get to the stage of saying those sentences?
And that's the problem, isn't it? And I suppose that's why the campaign and the movement is so important. Liz, I've got to ask you, because I'm sure a lot of our viewers will want to know, what happened to this male colleague? You know, how did the situation resolve itself?
There was a point whereby I was asking for a pay rise, and then he got angry, but I had no choice than to go to him, and because of that he fired me, so I had to go for another job.
Oh my God! Yeah. See, this is
why your services end.
This is a really important topic, and I'm sure we're going to talk more about it after the break. More on Me Too and its effects, and what steps you can take to protect yourself. And we'll be hearing your thoughts on feminism. Are you all in or out? Join us for more after the break. Welcome back to Noni. Still to come, should you be a feminist? But first, back to Me Too. Guys, I want to talk about the responsibility of the workplace, because I've been working for a couple of years now, and I can never remember in an introduction or, you know, when they're kind of easing you into the job, talking about sexual harassment and saying, you know, this is a zero policy workplace, or these structures are put in place. Do you think that, you know, we need to start adopting those practices and workplaces need to be taking this more seriously, Elizabeth?
I think for my own organization, they take it more seriously, because the poster is at every department. You have it there that if any of your colleague harass you, or even a manager, you know, anybody, if anyone harass you, the thing is right there on the wall.
Okay, in the medical profession. Is that something new? Has it always been there?
I think it actually came into limelight in 2013 or 14. That was when because I've been in the organization for 10 years now. So it's about 4 years ago that is actually widely open, and there's training on that if anybody's sexually harassing you, or it might not even be sexual harassment. It could be any other harassment, like maybe talk or people talking to you anyhow, or any of your colleague that is actually, you know, dominating you, or probably trying to do any unnecessary things that you feel that, is actually harassment, then you can just come to them.
Mo, do you think men have a greater part to play in protecting women in the workplace? You know, because a lot of the critiques, again, because there are many critiques of the #MeToo movement, they say, oh, men are being, you know, unfairly painted with the same brush. So should they really be, you know, looking out for the women in their workplace and, you know, stopping comments or, you know, boosting down
then the workplace
chat.
Will feel weird, won't it? Because you'll have someone saying, you look really nice, and then somebody else will go, oh, you can't say that to her. You know, that's sexual harassment. People will be trying to correct each other. and it won't make for a nice work environment. I think what needs to happen is, it's okay that people like each other. Lots of people get married through work, you know.
You're
Lots
right.
of people find each other through work.
You're right.
True.
So what we need to do as women is to be aware of those weird games that men play when they touch you.
Men play games?
They play so many games. I'll just tell you about this one to start with. We'll cover all the other games later, but they touch you to see how comfortable you are.
Yeah.
And if there and then you don't nip it in the bud, if you don't find them attractive or you don't like them, or if it feels too casual, they'll touch you again until you realise.
See, this is the thing, and obviously we're all strong black women sitting here, but the problem is, Elizabeth, not all women are strong. There are women that are intimidated. So yeah, it could be a stroke in the kitchen. And whereas I'd be like, you know, get off me, what are you doing? There are some women that just won't do that. So where is the space for them? Okay, hashtag Me Too on Twitter and on social media is great. But what about in the workplace? Who do they go to if something like that happens and they're scared or intimidated to say to that guy, stop it?
There are actually a group of department that actually, deals with that. If you have any of your colleague touching you anyhow, you can, it's a phone call away, or you could actually email them, and then even if you don't want to actually mention the name, and you can just describe the person because you don't want someone to come after you after when you've reported the person, because NHS doesn't really take it lightly with any of the stuff that actually harass anybody in the workplace, either sexual harassment, either whichever form of harassment it could be. We don't take it lightly. But for my own part, I just had to okay, I think I do not need this department anymore, and I've learned what I need to learn from them, so I just had to leave.
Mo, you've got a teenage son. How are you talking to him or educating him about, be careful with your hands, be careful with your words, treat women, as women?
I'm quite lucky because Ramel, my son, he likes to pull chairs out for women. He used to pull he likes to help you with your jacket. And so I'm raising a real life Casanova smooth guy, yeah? And he's gonna,
but some women wouldn't like that. Some women are like, excuse me, how dare you? I can open my own door.
What? This is the thing. We need to define what is harassment. If a guy's being nice to you, and we're going to define that as harassment, we're going to a dark, horrible place where men won't even bother opening the door. Like right now, if a guy opens the door, I'm usually like, oh, thank you, because it don't happen all the time. We're supposed to be encouraging men and women to be able to coexist really nicely together.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Someone touches you and you don't like it, and you've not got the confidence to, you're gonna have to find, because life is about growing and learning anyway. You either find the confidence or you find a girl who's got the confidence to fight for you. Yeah, that's what you need to do. Women need to come together because yes, some of us are more timid and some of us are really bold. But if you're being hurt and you're friends, or even if we're not friends, but I've got more mouth than you and I believe you,
you're gonna defend. See, that's what you do. If you give strength and courage to young women who would ordinarily
wouldn't
speak
say
out.
anything. What we do is that we try as much as we can to encourage the students to talk, and even sometimes in a place of probably in an education center where you have teachers touching students as well too. And most of the time they said, oh, each time I go for maybe, if I need to ask my teacher that, oh, I do not understand this topic, and before you know, they put their legs, oh, do you know that you look so beautiful today, your socks is really nice, you dress so neat. And those are the things that we're trying to let the student know that it's not okay.
It's not okay.
It's not.
And it's all about power, isn't it? I think we all agree that the hashtag Me Too movement is a good thing, and we need to, support it and champion fellow women like ourselves.
Absolutely.
Now, should we all be feminists? The Oxford English Dictionary defines a feminist simply as an advocate or supporter of the rights and equality of women. Yet the term has always been a contentious one. Some might say it makes you anti-men. Others disagree. But should we automatically be all in, or can you be a bit of a feminist? I'm going to say I'm a bit of a feminist, and I don't want you to ask me why before you guys go first. I'm going to look at you, Elizabeth, newly married. Are you a feminist?
I think before I wasn't. I used to feel like I have to do things by myself. We have to, have everything equal. Even so many things that, I got into a job before the previous job. Where I was the only young female among them, and they were like, what are you doing here? You're a girl, you should be doing other job. What are you doing here? And I was like, no, I mean, it's okay for me to do what they said, no, this job is for men. I said, no, I can do the job. So I was just the only female among them. And then from there until when I began to come out of my my zone, my comfort zone of, you know, it's okay for a man to help you to open the door.
Okay, so you're saying your previous history with men made you want to do everything for yourself and kind of turn your back against any male assistance.
Yeah, any male figure that wants to help me in anything, I do not want it. Until when I got married, and Miles was like, calm down. I can do that for you. You don't have to. And I'm like, no. Even when we had to carry things, I'm like, oh, no, I can lift that. No, you can't lift it. You're married and you're a woman. Let me treat you. So for now, yes, I am.
Okay. Okay, that was a bit combobulated, a little bit like mine. But what do you think, Mo? Are you a feminist?
I definitely support women and women's issues. I remember they had that pay gap gender situation,
gender pay gap,
and instead of them lifting up women's pay so it can match the men, they just lowered the men's down to the women. And I think it costs more to be a woman. You got to do your nails, you got to do your hair, you got to find new clothes to wear, etc., etc.
It's not easy looking this good.
We often get left with the babies by ourselves at times. So it's obvious that we should be paid more, lifted up more. I'm not against men. I just think that if we're gonna be equal, let's all be equal.
See, it's interesting, isn't it? That's why I say I'm kind of a bit in, a bit out, because feminism, yeah, do I believe that men and women should be equal and have equal pay? Yes. But then I do like my husband to do certain things for me. I want him to take out the bin.
Yeah.
I expect him to do certain other things that I won't mention here. But a lot of people base it around pay, and it's not just that, is it?
That's the only area that I care about.
But that's why there are a lot of women that describe some feminists as being butch or being anti-men. You know, we've seen the whole thing of topless women, and a lot of women say, you know, you're degrading yourself, but they're saying, hang on a minute, if I'm a feminist, if you're a feminist and you believe that we should all be equal and do what we want, why can't I do what I want?
There's that thing within the group, there's a split within the group. So most feminists will say women should be able to do whatever they want, whatever they want. But then if you're female and you've put yourself out there, another feminist will say you're being a tool. You're being used by men. Look at you putting yourself out there like that. So I think it comes down to your personal choice and whatever it is that you feel like your cause might be. If you're a female and you want to own the whole of your body and do what you want with it, it is your body. But touching on what you said about men and women and certain roles you like your man to do, I agree. There's certain things that I like men doing, like.
Maybe gender neutrality is the way forward.
But I do think that men are men for reasons, women are women for reasons. I do also believe some people are born and they feel like a different gender to what body they're sitting in. But ultimately, if everyone's working from a loving place, we should all be able to get along and earn money.
And shouldn't we celebrate difference? I just noticed that recently with the whole feminism argument, you know, it really is, you've got to be all the way in or got to be all the way out. Can't we celebrate women and, you know, want to have equality with men in some aspects, but, you know, respect certain men's positions and certain jobs and certain things they do, and that be okay?
I really like a powerful man that I have to respect. I love that. And to the point of when he says put that down, I'll be like, okay then, because it feels like they've tamed me. It feels like they've done something to me. So the different genders are there for reasons. Like we can celebrate our differences and our similarities. It's just that there's other functional stuff that helps us to coexist. And if we're going to be the same, let the pay be the same too, so that we really can coexist. Or give the women a bit more.
I totally agree with that. But I suppose as well, in a way, we've got to celebrate the all-in feminists because they're fighting for us, aren't they? Like we're three women sitting here, and I suppose if, you know, people hadn't done it before us, we probably would never be sitting on a show like this, Elizabeth.
True, that's true. And which is good because now you see women talking about, I mean, they're actually praising women now and, you know, celebrating women. Even at my workplace now, most of the men are like in most of the headship now, it's always women most of the time. Most of the departments are headed by women. And some of them are getting intimidated about why is it that it's only women that are always in this eye roll. That why is it that when I apply for a job, they don't get me, it's only the female. That sometimes they
some
get
men
angry.
do feel hard done by, don't they, if they've got a female boss, which is ridiculous.
I've come across men who act like they hate women, but really they envy and would like to be a woman as well. Yeah, no, I've seen that. They act like they don't like you. They can't stand you with your long eyelashes. They look at you with your hair, but deep down, they want to wear.
Do you know what? That's quite
hair.
funny, because I did want to ask, do you think men can be feminists?
Some can be, seriously, because some men will like, most of the time they allow their wife to keep doing everything, and why they just keep...
I know some men like that.
Why they keep swinging remotes in the living room watching ball or something. I've been to, so many places whereby the men are not lifted, and I was like, no, drop it, let him lift it. Why are you carrying it? Most of the time, they don't really celebrate their wife, and at the same time, they allow the wife. Same person will wash dishes, keep the house tidy, come back and, still allow you to enjoy yourself in the bed.
Earn all the money
Yeah.
and look after the home. But they say that, they support women. It's a really interesting discussion, ladies. But that's it from me, Juliana Olayinka, and my co-host for the morning, Mo Real, and Elizabeth Nwachukwu. Join me next time for more Noni Chat. Goodbye.